Hello, everyone. Dr. Frankie here. And I'm excited to be here with you all to cover a topic that, of course, I think is relevant, important for us to consider today, which is what's the relationship escalator and are you on it? But before I jump into this topic, I want to thank my new subscribers for subscribing. Thanks so much for your support. And for those of you who have been with me week after week after week, supporting me, sharing what I have, the topics that I'm, talking on and responding to them, commenting, sharing your reactions, and also sharing my material with others that you think would benefit from my insights, my suggestions, tools, all that good stuff. So I appreciate your support. And I'm about to head to New York for a month for work. I've got an amazing opportunity for a speaking engagement where I get to speak to a lot of people on topics that I'm passionate about. And so that's one thing I'm going to be doing in New York. I will also make sure, of course, to continue to record my videos for you all. I'm going to show up for sure. I look forward to it. It's a priority of mine. It's on the list, so it's going to happen for sure. And I also have my 30-year high school reunion. I've never been to any of my high school reunions. And a good friend of mine that I'm still in touch with from high school was like, got to do this, Frankie, make it a priority. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, you're right. It's been 30 years. I've never been to any of them, and you matter. And there are people there that matter. And then there are people there that I don't even really remember. I haven't even connected with since high school, who I think I will be pleasantly surprised to see. So I'm going to say yes to the opportunity, even though it feels awkward and uncomfortable and maybe not something I entirely know how to feel about even. I'm sure folks can relate to that feeling. I've been kind of disconnected to most people and most of those events in my life from high school for so many years. So I'm open to the opportunity of having the experience of re-engagement after decades and maybe learning something new and seeing how people are doing and what are they doing in the world, and being able to share my passions about what I do day to day in support of wellness and intimacy and connection in a world of so much disconnection. So anyway, just wanted to update you about what's happening. So next week when I record, or the week after, whenever it is, in a new environment, you'll know why, because I'll be in New York. And there's my corgi saying hello. So let's jump into today's topic. So again, what's the relationship escalator and are you on it? When are you going to settle down, right? It often comes up. What are your intentions with dating? Do you think this is the real thing? Our cultural expectations around relationships and the ways we reinforce them with each other often flow from an unspoken assumption that there's a single, desirable, authentic, correct direction for a relationship to head, and that we should evaluate all our romantic connections on the basis of whether or not they fit the bill. What if this wasn't as true as we think it is? What if there are other ways to approach relationships and none of them are particularly right or particularly wrong? These are the questions opened up by the concept of the relationship escalator and what happens if you step off of it. What's a relationship escalator? The concept of a relationship escalator is linked to the often unquestioned assumption that relationships should progress linearly, ideally culminating in a commitment like marriage, living together, or having children together. It underpins the idea of a relationship going somewhere or not, and the implication that relationships or connections that aren't going somewhere are lesser or even harmful or duplicitous. For example, a situationship being a waste of your time, or that someone who wants to date but isn't looking to marry is using you or playing games. Today, I'm going to share the definition as conceptualized by Amy Gahran, who coined the term when describing relationship expectations in her blog, Solo Poly. Relationship escalator, the default set of societal customs for the proper conduct of intimate relationships. Progressive steps with clearly visible markers and a presumed structural goal of permanently monogamous, sexually and romantically exclusive cohabitating marriage, legally sanctioned if possible, the social standard by which most people gauge whether a developing intimate relationship is significant, serious, good, healthy, committed, or worth pursuing or continuing. The relationship escalator, as Gahran describes, it has 7 steps, moving from first initiating contact, like flirting, asking someone out, to becoming exclusive and using relationship labels like girlfriend or partner, to commitment steps like buying a house, having kids, and getting married. Why wouldn't I want to be on a relationship escalator? To be clear, none of the steps on the relationship escalator are bad or something to be avoided. If you and your date both want to move toward being exclusive, or if marriage is an important goal for you and part of how you manage your priorities when dating, nothing about that needs to change. There are no wrong things to want when it comes to dating and sex. The goal is to just be clear about what they are with both yourself and with others. While there's no problem with deciding intentionally you want the milestones on a relationship escalator, the effects of having the relationship escalator as the only paradigm for the shape of the relationship can be thorny. It can create expectations that incentivize us and others in our lives to focus more on whether we're doing things right than whether we're actually happy and our needs are being met. In a culture that overemphasizes the necessity of the relationship escalator, we may feel pressured to end a connection that's actually completely satisfying to both of us and our date, just because it isn't progressing in the way we were taught to expect. And of course, we all know people who have checked off all the correct boxes of marriage, monogamy, and stability while being deeply unhappy in their relationships, or have even been these people ourselves. The point of looking critically at the relationship escalator isn't to force anyone to throw it out entirely, but to invite all of us to question what we want our relationship with it to be. Although it's a popular and culturally prized paradigm for relationships, it isn't the only one, and you're allowed and encouraged to decide whether you want to be on it or not every time you make a new connection. What are the options if I don't want to be on a relationship escalator? For many of us, we're not opposed to the idea of stepping off the relationship escalator, but it can be confusing to think about how to do so if we have no other models or paradigms for how relationships can actually look. This may be especially true for non-monogamous or polyamorous people, for whom the relationship escalator doesn't necessarily scale or make sense. It's not realistic or even desirable to have the same relationship structure that progresses at the same pace with multiple partners. Each partner may have a different role in your life, or your relationship structure may be uniquely structured to fit a relational need you both have. But on the relationship escalator, all relationships should be shaped the same way and suggest partnership should always look the same. Even for monogamous folks, there may be relationship structures or approaches that you find more fulfilling than a relationship escalator. These may be structures that are dismissed in the broader culture or imagined as failed attempts at having a real relationship, like a situationship or friends with benefits. As Gahran puts it, the relationship escalator also moves in one direction. Partners aren't allowed to step back or aside to a phase with less structure or with a different structure. Your only valid options are to keep moving forward or to break up and start over with a new partner. What if at least some major differences in wants and needs could be resolved without having to break up? Like, imagine that. For both monogamous and non-monogamous people, there are abundant and diverse examples of what relationships can look like off the escalator once you start to look for them and talk to others in your life openly about this concept. Some that come to mind might be a long-distance relationship between two people who have no plans to move closer to each other. Two same-sex roommates who live together without coming out to their families or jobs. A casual connection where both people choose to keep seeing each other indefinitely without ever getting more serious or committed. A married couple who chooses to live in separate homes or apartments. A non-monogamous person who dates and co-parents with multiple partners but has no one nesting partner they live with. A couple who moves in together and then chooses to live separately again when conflict arises from living together rather than breaking up. A couple who does break up but chooses to remain close friends. A married couple who no longer feel sexual and a romantic connection, but they decide to remain together and share a household with or without seeing other people. A common relationship where two people have primary partners but see each other a few times a year when they're in the same city. A single parent who parents alone but dates multiple people casually without the intention of letting them meet their kids or even co-parenting. Do any of these sound familiar or even appealing to you? Do they sound impossible or far-fetched? If so, why? Stepping off the relationship escalator isn't a requirement for anyone, but imagining other possibility is one way to make more likely that you're actively choosing the relationship progression you see with partners rather than being carried along with it as a matter of course. You know, I always say, it's like, be curious, have conversations. Don't feel like because we live in such a black and white linear world where we're told that certain things have to happen at a certain time and milestones should be reached at a certain time. No, we can play by our own rules too. And we can pick and choose things that make sense for us, and we can be creative and innovative on our own. So just encouraging you to think and be curious and converse and learn about different ways to do things that may be outside of the paradigm that we've been taught and reinforced by time and time again. So that's what I have for you all today. Thank you for being here with me. Get out there, get some sunshine wherever you are in the world. Take good care of yourself. I'm sending you kisses and hugs, and I will see you all next week.